Lesson 7, Part 2, the genitive case. Possession is shown in one main way in Greek, by using a noun or pronoun in the genitive case. The genitive case is formed by adding the correct ending to the stem of a noun. Remember, the stem is found in the nominative singular after you take off the nominative singular ending. So here are the forms of nouns that we have so far. For second declension masculine, we have the singular nominative os that we've already learned. Here's the singular genitive, oo, and then the singular accusative we've already learned, on. For masculine plural nominative oi, masculine plural genitive own, and masculine plural accusative us. For the neuter, it's going to be exactly the same as the masculine. We have oo for the genitive singular, and we have own for the genitive plural. The masculine and the neuter in the second declension are actually supposed to be very, very similar. It's just that the nominative and accusative aren't actually that similar. The dative, which is the third line that we're going to add in here in a few lessons, it's actually going to be exactly identical as well. So the masculine and the neuter in the genitive and in the dative, they're going to be identical, which helps us learn them a lot easier. But don't forget, of course, the nominative and the accusative and the neuter are always the same. So this nominative came to match the accusative, which the accusative matches for the masculine and the neuter. But the nominative had to match up with the accusative, so it became on. This is just irregular. So that's why that's over there. Looking now at the feminines, we have first declension feminines. Our singular nominative is alpha or eta. Our singular genitive is going to be as or ace. Again, it'll sort of follow just like the accusative did. And the accusative is on or ain. For the plural, we have I, own, and us. Now, there are a couple important things to notice here. First one is we are using own for the plural genitive for all three forms. That's really nice, makes it really easy to remember, except that everything else over here in the feminine has an alpha or an eta, and this one does not have an alpha or an eta. It's an own, it's an omega there instead. So just watch out for that. It shouldn't be too tricky to remember, but it just might throw you for a second and make you forget that it's feminine. So just pay a little bit of attention to that. Now, the second thing we have to pay attention to is there's an as down here in the plural accusative. And for those that end with an alpha, there's also an as over here in the singular genitive. So when you're parsing some of these, you're going to have to be very, very careful. If it's a feminine singular, if it's a feminine noun and it normally ends in a, and you see it with an as ending, such as hemera, and you see it as hemeras, that's going to be feminine singular genitive and feminine singular or feminine plural accusative. It will be both. It has the same form. If, though, we have one that ends in a, such as phone, it would be phones here in the feminine singular genitive. It would be phonas over here in the feminine plural accusative. So for that one, because it's an a ending, an eta ending verb, noun, we wouldn't need to worry about it being both because it has two different forms. It has an ace and an as form. But if it's one that normally ends in a, we have as and we have as. So that's a little bit confusing. It's going to take some time to sort of cement that into your mind that we've got those couple different things going on there, but do watch out for that. Another little note that might be sort of helpful for some remembering, you notice there's some news going on here in the accusative, a new going on in the accusative, a new in the accusative. We've got a sigma over here in the plural accusative. We've got a sigma over here in the plural accusative. We don't have anything matching in this singular genitive, though. We've got ooze over here. We've got as and ace over here. We do have those owns that match up in the plural genitives, though. Now, there is one other thing that's very weird about the genitive, and that's this note here. A few first declension feminine nouns that end in alpha in the nominative singular will have eta endings in the genitive and dative singular. Dative is the one that we're going to learn soon. It'll be the third line, and then accusative will bump down to the fourth. The only nouns we will learn that are like this are doxa, glossa, and thalassa. Technically, there is a rule about which ones do this. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, even though I don't have it in the slides right now. You'll learn this rule a little bit later. The rule is this. Nouns and adjectives whose stem ends in epsilon, iota, or rho. So the stem ends in epsilon, iota, or rho before the alpha gets added. Those nouns and adjectives whose stems end in epsilon, iota, or rho, they will keep an alpha all the way through the singulars. So that means that this one here, doxa, because the stem does not end in epsilon, iota, or rho, we cannot keep an alpha here. It's going to flip to an eta for the genitive and for the dative. Same thing here with glossa. The stem does not end in epsilon, iota, or rho, so we can't keep the alpha all the way through. So we're going to flip to an eta. Same thing with thalassa. It has a sigma for the end of the stem, not an epsilon, iota, or rho. So we're going to have to flip to an eta right here. I'll show you an example of that in just a moment. So here are some words for an example. All right, so second person masculine or second declension masculine. We have lagos, lagu, and lagon, lagoi, lagon, and lagus. For second declension neuter, we have teknon, teknu, teknon. Oops, missing a little space there. Tekna, teknon, and tekna. So again, we see the u endings, and then we see the own endings. Now here is our first declension feminine. This is one of the ones that has to switch, and that's what that note is about there. Doxa, doxase, doxon, doxai, doxon, doxas. Again, we switched from alpha to eta and back to alpha. So remember, the rule is if the stem doesn't end in epsilon, iota, or rho, it cannot keep an alpha all the way through. Or I could say, if the stem ends in epsilon, iota, or rho, it will keep an alpha all the way through, which is what happens on this one over here. I'll show that to you in a second. First declension feminine, a regular eta. Now etas, we don't have to worry about them doing anything weird or any switching. Etas just stay etas. Phone, phones, phonane, phonai, phonon, phonas. Pretty normal. Again, there's that own that we're always going to see in all of the genitive plurals. Now here's the first declension feminine that ends in a, where it doesn't switch. If the stem ends in epsilon, iota, or rho, this one ends in rho, it keeps the alpha all the way through. So we don't worry about it switching here. Hey mera, hey meras, hey meron, hey merai, hey meron, hey meras. And this little note here, note the feminine genitive singular and accusative plural look the same in nouns ending in alpha. You will have to look at the article or use context and logic to determine which one it is. So if you're parsing, you need to say that it's both. If you find it in a sentence, if the definite article here is taste and the definite article here is tas, so the definite article will be different for the two of them. So if we found taste, hemeras, we know that it's genitive singular. If we found tas, hemeras, we would know that it's accusative plural. If it doesn't have a definite article, you'll have to figure out, does it make more sense for it to be a genitive in this sentence, or does it make more sense for it to be a direct object in this sentence? And normally it will be pretty clear. All right, our definite article also gets a few new forms. So here it is. And like I mentioned before, the endings here with the tau at the beginning are going to be exactly the same. We see these own endings over here in the plural genitive. We see oo and oo for the masculine and the neuter. And then we see ace for the feminine. And we keep this sort of eta going all the way through here. And we'll also see an eta in that dative when we add that in later. But again, it's exactly the same as the endings that we see for the nouns. We just add a tau at the beginning there. And as I mentioned last time we looked at the definite article, don't forget the masculine and feminine in the nominative, both the singular and the plural, they don't get a tau at the beginning. They get this rough breathing instead. Now you'll notice there are some circumflex accents over here. Again, you don't have to worry about your accents. If you type them in, you'll actually probably end up getting some things wrong. So don't worry about the accents here. What we're concerned about is our breathing marks. on these four up here. And again, don't forget, the only thing that doesn't match the nouns is the neuter singular nominative and neuter singular accusative, which is on for the nouns, but is ta over here in the definite article. Now let's look at meaning. Unlike in English, to form the possessive in Greek, we don't need to add anything. We just need the two nouns with the owner coming second and in the genitive case. So observe the following examples. He doxa tu angelu, the glory of the angel, or the angel's glory. So here we have the glory in the nominative. We have of the angel in the genitive. The angel is the one who's doing the owning. It's the one that has glory. So the glory of the angel, which is a structure we don't use quite as often in English, or we can flip it around to the way we sort of normally do it, the angel's glory. We're looking at the glory, that's the subject of the sentence because it's in the nominative, and the angel is the one who's owning it. So the angel is describing glory. Here in Greek, sort of the whole phrase is describing glory. We only end up with one the, though, if we put it in this order. We don't say the angels, the glory. We just don't do that. That's why I made the purple, because it's sort of like the from both of them sort of just gets blended together. If we put it in this structure, though, we do need the twice, the glory of the angel. All right, here we have he hora, tes hemeras. Now, hemeras could be accusative plural or singular genitive, but because we have a definite article on it, we can see it's singular genitive. So we have he hora, the hour, it's in the nominative. Then we have tes hemeras. We figured out it's in the singular genitive, so it's of the day. The day owns the hour, or technically here, the hour is a part of the day. This is the whole and this is the part, but we'll think of it as the day owns that hour. So the day's hour, it's the one who's owning that hour. Tous lagus ton teknon. Ooh, now we've got some stuff in the plural, and this is also in the accusative. So maybe this is the direct object of the sentence. Tous lagus, the words, ton teknon, of the children. This is in the plural, and this is in the plural. So that's why we've got words, and we have children, plural. So the words of the children are the ones who have the words, or the children's words. All right, tame psukas ton paidion. This actually has an error right here. This should be tas. So just sort of make a mental note here. That's supposed to be tas psukas ton paidion, the souls of the children. This is plural accusative, feminine plural accusative, assuming that was actually os like it's supposed to be. Right now it's actually in the genitive, which it's not supposed to do that. Or that's actually a singular accusative instead of a plural accusative. Should say tas. Tas psukas, plural accusative, the souls. So it's probably like the direct object of the sentence or something. Ton paidion, the children. So the children are owning their souls, or they have souls, so the children's souls. And again, that's supposed to be tas over there. As you can see, it doesn't matter what case the first word is in. That will be determined by what it's doing in the sentence. These first two examples are in the nominative. These last two are in the accusative. Then the second word is the owner, so it's in the genitive case. When translating, you can use of or apostrophe s, whichever makes a smoother translation. Be sure to pay attention to the number of each noun also. The first noun, whether it's singular or plural, and the one that's in the genitive, whether that's singular or plural. Pay attention to both. Note, if the item or person being possessed doesn't have a definite article, but the possessor does, the item or person is going to be definite as well. So if we see vioi ton apostolon, the sons of the apostles. We see sons actually doesn't have a the, but because it's the sons of the apostles, we know they're specific sons. They're not just like some general generic boys out there somewhere. We're talking about specific sons because it's sons of the apostles. So we're going to go ahead and throw a the in there most of the time, unless for some reason we really don't need it in English, but we're generally the rule of thumb is going to be go ahead and add in the there. Logos, to thou, the word of God. Even though logos over here doesn't have a the, it's not just some general generic word of the God. It's specifically the word of God. Now, this one's actually a little bit weird because in English, we don't translate the for God. So it almost looks like the just sort of jumped over here. It really didn't. This is definite here. For us, we use God as a proper name. If we were to be talking about maybe a false God that we had already been talking about in a sense, this would then be a lowercase, that this would be then the word of the God, lowercase g. But just because we normally use God as a name, we don't put the on there. So that's why there's no the right there. All right, summary. Greek uses the genitive case to show possession. In doxa, glossa, and thalassa, the alpha changes to an eta in the genitive and dative singular. Or you can think if the stem doesn't end in epsilon, iota, or rho, but these are the only three that are going to do that. The noun doing the possessing is in the genitive in Greek. If the noun being possessed doesn't have a definite article, but the possessor does, the noun being possessed is definite and the possessor is definite.